This talk show is brought to you by...
Hey, want to feel young again? Are you tired, run down, have aches and pains, brain fog? This is science-based, not hype or fancy marketing. It really works. Carbon 60 helps detoxify your body on the cellular level. It stabilizes free radicals, just like the antioxidants found in red wine and berry stew, but on a far smaller, more bioavailable nanoscale. It's like a bottle of electrons, helping your body to function better. You can also apply it on your skin topically, over muscles, joints, or organs. Most people feel results within minutes. This is not a drug. It's organic carbon. Feel better today. About 95% of our users report more energy and clarity of mind within 10 days. Give us a call at Greska's Carbon 60 at 720-600-6040 or visit our site at c-60.com. Call 720-600-6040 and feel young again.
Welcome to Resilient Relationships with Dr. Christian and Dr. Caroline Heim. It's lovely to have your company. Now, every week we're going to be giving you some aspect of relationships. Because your relationships are your greatest assets.
Hello, I'm Christian.
And I'm Caroline.
And I'm a psychiatrist in Sydney at the moment.
And I'm a professor at a university, also in Sydney at the moment. Yes, welcome to our show. We're so glad that you're here. But why are we doing a talk show on relationships, Christian?
All right, so I suppose the main reason we're doing a talk show on relationships is relationships seem to be so hard to keep together these days. And we want to make sure that people who are in relationships stay in relationships because as the evidence shows us, that's what makes for a healthy, happy life.
Most definitely. Okay, so yes, you're a psychiatrist.
I am.
Yes, and
That's
I'm
right.
a professor.
You are, yes. And together we've actually written the largest study on long-term relationships ever. That means that we've spoken to couples who've been together 40, 50, 60 years, and we found out what their secrets are to staying together. And the idea is that we have this evidence so that we can speak with it and around it so that you can improve your relationship.
And I'm sure you actually are in a relationship at the moment, or perhaps you want a relationship, or are you struggling a little bit in your relationship? Are you having a bit of a tough time? Or have you been together for a long time and you just want to go deeper in your relationship? That's actually what our talk show is all about.
Actually, that's a nice way of looking at it. To
Yeah.
go deeper in your relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's one thing that we will talk about one day. We'll talk about how relationships tend to get better if you go deeper.
Yeah, that's right. Most definitely. And if you want to go deeper, you go deeper. Okay, so let's get on to what we're talking about today, Christian. What are we talking about?
Okay, so today we're talking about what a difference commitment makes.
Yeah, wow. Commitment. Oof, that's a word, isn't it? You know...
It's a nice word. Leave the poor little word alone. Gosh.
No, but I don't know about you out there, but, you know, it's not a word that we use that much. People shy away from it.
Yes.
Actually, I was on the New York City subway and I saw one of the ads for a university and it said, "We accept commitment phobes." It's not always a happy word.
They accept commitment phobes, but the commitment phobes aren't sure if they want to go there. They're not sure if they can commit.
That's right.
But that's actually a good place to start because we talk about commitment in relationships.
Yeah.
But commitment is to any cause, anything that you take up in your life.
That's right. So it can be a commitment to a job. It can be a commitment to studying. It can be a commitment to taking care of a dog, for goodness sake.
Yes, it can even be a commitment to improving your language skills, improving any skills, to becoming a better person. It can be a commitment to enjoying life. Now, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Is that a hard thing? Is that from a psychiatry perspective? Is it a hard thing?
No. So we're going to start off with commitment. Just the word.
Yeah.
Just to look at what the word is, because the word's actually very interesting. It's a very old word, and it comes from the Latin. And the start of it, the C-O-M or the C-O-N, that actually says with, right?
Yeah.
But the mittere is actually from the same root word as the word mission.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So I've got a mission to
right.
stay committed to this whatever.
Well, yeah, but a commission is something that you're given that needs to be done. So there is the sense of obligation there, but there's also the sense of adventure. When you're on a mission, you start a journey. And it's a bit silly, like if you're going to go on a mission like to explore the Amazon jungle, it's a bit silly to go just a little bit of the way and then turn back, right? The thing about commitment and a mission is if you're going to go on a mission, you've got to do it, okay? It's a big undertaking. It's going to take a lot of energy, but it's worth it. It's a sense of adventure on a journey. So if your mission is to explore the outer galaxy, you can't go just for a week or two. You're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and a lot of your life. You are committing your whole self to this mission.
Yeah.
And lose a sense of adventure.
Well, that's right, because there's this sense of not only excitement, but also a little bit of fear, but that actually adds to the excitement. It's sort of like, okay, well, yeah, basically excitement and adventure. And there's going to be ups and downs because it's an adventure, it's a journey.
That's right. So a sense of adventure or a mission or a journey means right there that you're going to be living life deeper. Okay,
true.
So yes, there's going to be excitement and some pleasure, but there's also going to be some hard times, some tough times that you're going to get through. And by going on a mission, by committing, you're putting your hand up to do both. Yes, I want to live life deeper. Yes, I want more happiness. Yes, I'm going to put my hand up for some more suffering, all right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to live life deeper. And I suppose that's a sense of commitment that we can start with.
Yeah, deeper and also growth. It's growth that you do when you go on something. You're going to grow as a person.
Yes.
You can get so stuck just on your own, but if you actually take that leap of faith and go out on that mission and commit, you are going to have some growth too.
Yeah, so people out there who are in long-term relationships, congratulations. You are on a mission.
Yes, you are.
So welcome to Mission Control.
Your big journey has started. And yes, it has some bumps along the way. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Actually, I'd like to share a couple of things that some of the couples said that commitment was.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Then we'll move more towards talking about commitment in relationships. So I'd just like to share some of the things from our study. So we did actually interview or survey over 1,400 people worldwide about this. And they're from 42 different countries, so you're going to get lots of different perspectives. But this was sort of the basic words that people use to describe commitment in their relationship. And of course, these are people that have been together 40 plus years. So they define commitment as faithfulness, as stickability, as unconditional love, as safety, as security, as trust, and even as not even considering divorce, and also as committing to each other's families. So there's quite a lot in that. They're obviously different people and commitment's different for everyone.
In that list that you just read out, it shows the various facets of commitment and how people look at it. But I actually like that word stickability. Now, we were going to call the book stickability, but our publishers didn't like it.
No, they didn't like it. I thought it was a great name.
Yeah, well, it says so much. Stickability is the ability to stick. To stick at it. And I suppose it's a commitment, as you said, to anything like study or work or even taking care of a dog or to improving something to yourself. You've got to stick at it. So the idea of stickability, and this is a quality that we in psychiatry look for a lot and try to nurture in people, because we live in a world that is diverting all of us to all of its pleasures so that we unstick, if you like. So we get away from sticking at it.
Yeah, that's true. And it also has a sense, stickability, of a long haul. It's a long journey, okay? It's not just something that you commit to for a little while.
Yeah, that's right.
And then move on to something else, which in our society seems to be, you know, we love multitasking. We like going from here to here and everything. But this is long haul stuff. This is something I'm going to commit to, and I've made that decision. And of course, even making the decision is growth.
Yeah. So I want to talk about colleges and universities, because that's the area that you're in at the moment.
Yeah.
And to stick at a college or a university degree is about 3 years, which at that time of life is a huge commitment. But we live in a society where people tend to be dragging it out, where they tend to be taking it longer. Is that the way that you find it?
Most definitely. You know, obviously with my postgraduate students, so those that are doing masters or PhDs, they're meant to complete it in about 3 years, but I'd say that the average is about 5 years because, well, I mean, life happens. I mean, let's face it. And if you're studying, you know, life happens. There's you know, there's attrition. So there's students that, you know, start there. They're really ready to commit, and it's so exciting because I do teach a lot of first years. And they're ready to commit to it, and then life happens, or it's too much, or they hit some, you know, some hard bumps along the way in their, you know, study, and it's harder than I thought, you know, and
and there's something else that happens, this fear of missing out, right?
Oh, totally.
People take time off to go traveling, or they just do something else because you forsake some money during your college years.
Oh, most definitely.
And so while I was training to be a psychiatrist, I was working as a doctor, but it was a 5-year training program. And I got to tell you, after about year 3, it's starting to wear thin. It's taking a long time. And so at the beginning of my 4th year into the training, I had a psychiatrist say to me, Christian, whatever you do, finish it in the minimum amount of time you can. Be committed, get it done, because that's when the rewards come. And that was actually good advice at the time. And I got it done just in 5 years. Great, good. And I ended up with the rewards, the freedom, the ability to drive my own life a whole lot more. But I wouldn't have done that if I had delayed and delayed. And so commitment has this sense of purpose about it to keep you on track for your own good.
Yeah. And also involves self-discipline. Okay,
and takes a lot of this.
It really does, especially studying. So if you're in there studying, stick at it. You know, stickability. You will get there. It is so rewarding and so worth it at the end. I just have to talk as a professor for a little while, because really, I just see the students, and then they feel really bad about themselves.
Yeah.
They say, and I mean, they're afraid of failing, so they don't try.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I'm also here to let people know that they have stickability.
Yes.
Whenever you have studied for an exam and you've passed, whenever you've practiced some football or basketball skills and you've gotten better, that's stickability. Anytime you have had a relationship, even if it's broken up, you've had some stickability. Anything that you've decided to develop in yourself, whenever you've gone traveling, you've had stickability. The idea is not to bail out, but to be there for the long haul. So find that space in you to understand some of the things that we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's commitment. In general, I think we've sort of played around with that a little bit now. Is that?
Yeah. I think we'll go to the science.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the science now. Then. All right. The science of commitment. Come on.
Okay.
You're the psychiatrist. Come on.
All right. So
what's there?
So basically, the definition of commitment is, as we've talked about, right? Stickability for the long haul. But the science of the commitment of relationships is it's the ability to persevere, so that when things go wrong, it's not automatically, okay, we've got to stop this. It's got to be gone, because then you don't have this area of safety in the relationship.
Yeah.
And safety in a relationship is very, very important, because relationship safety relates to what we call attachment. Now, I've got to talk about attachment a bit, because attachment is a science, it's biological, it's the idea that we as human beings, we make close bonds with people who we are close, And this affects us emotionally, but not only that, it gives us a secure base so that we can explore a world that is often strange.
Yeah.
So let's take that idea of a mission again.
Yeah.
If you're going to go explore the outer planets of our solar system, your firm base is Earth.
Yeah.
To say, yeah, I'm here, I'm at home, I feel comfortable here. And that feeling of comfort you take out with you when you're going to explore strange and sometimes dangerous territory.
Yeah.
We all get that feeling of comfort and attachment and security from our mother, number one,
Yeah.
from our family, number two. And then as we grow in our childhood, we have a larger and larger circle of people that we call secure relationships for us.
Yeah.
And so, scientifically, we need commitment to have that sense of attachment. So, you and I have been together for over 30 years now.
We have.
That is attachment. We are attached. And it's a good thing. That's what gives us our independence, knowing that we can depend on each other so that we can get on with some of the tough stuff that the world throws at us.
It's a funny word, attachment. I get this image of, those, what are those little sucker things under the sea?
What, leeches?
No! The ones, that attach to rocks, when you go to the sea. That's it. I'm attached now, and it's also, then once they actually attach to a rock, it's kind of, that's their home,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And so you also get a sense of home, like you did obviously with your mother, you've attached to your family, your biological family, but then you create a new home, you attach to, your love partner for the rest of your life, hopefully.
Yes. So, specific to a relationship, commitment is the intention to maintain that relationship. Yeah. I'm going to be here not only today, but tomorrow, the next day, and the day after.
Yeah.
So, it's not sort of, I want to see how this goes, right?
Yeah.
Because straight away that creates insecurity. So it also becomes an undertaking to nurture the relationship. Hey, this relationship is important to me. I am going to take care of it. I'm going to do things that's good for the relationship. And the flip side of that is I'm going to try not to do things that hurt the relationship.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right. Oh, and that's the difficult one, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, look, we're all going to hurt each other, and I'm sure you have hurt your love partner at some point, or close friends. We do it all the time, and there is that idea that the closer you get, the more hurt that you actually.
Well, yeah, because you care
to
more.
each other. Yeah, because you care.
You
more.
care more.
Yeah.
So that's why it's actually helpful to have that commitment, and sometimes that's in the form of vows.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in the form of having been together for a long time, but it's an undertaking that, you know what, I'm going to start taking care of this relationship because it's really important to me. So it's a big decision, all right?
It is a big decision. And look, yeah, I mean, not everyone's ready for it. Not everyone's, I mean, I wasn't ready for it, Earlier on, it was sort of like very difficult it's a difficult thing. I'm a career woman, okay? And so when is the right time to actually make that commitment, okay, and share your life with someone else? It's huge at the moment, that decision, for males and females, and it's just like, well, when, how much of myself do I give up for this, and am I giving up part of myself? And there's all these I don't know about you, but there's probably lots of struggles going on inside you if you're making that decision to commit.
Right, so do you want me to speak to some of those things?
Why not?
All
yes,
right, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the essence of that is, am I giving up some of myself?
Yeah, that's right.
And the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
So not only are you giving something up, because what you give up is actually freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you do give up freedom. There's just no way around that.
Yeah, I know. Let's just be honest about it. It happens.
Oh,
yes,
it most definitely does.
Yes.
Okay, because to commit to somebody else means that you've got, because the other thing about the whole mission thing is it's an obligation as well. All right, you have to do this, which means that you're duty bound to carry out certain things, or else the mission won't go ahead. So if you don't do certain things out of a sense of duty, then your relationship won't move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you give up freedom.
So you give up some freedom. All right?
Yes, you do give up freedom. Yeah.
Okay, but you gain so much. And okay, so let me explain what you gain, all right?
Okay.
To actually be yourself, you actually have to learn who you are. And to do that, you do it in the context of growing close to somebody else. Because when you grow close to somebody else and they start touching parts of you, and I don't mean your body, I mean your mind and your soul and deep inside your emotions, when you grow close to somebody, you're going to start feeling things that you haven't felt before. Some good and some not so good, all right? But the thing is, you will feel that the depth of who you are come more to the surface and become exposed, okay? So now we're reaching into that word of vulnerability. Okay, can I be myself in front of you? And when you're in a committed relationship, it's not only physically I get to know that person more, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And you see, when you're able to reveal more of yourself to another person, you actually learn who you yourself are and you grow, because otherwise you wouldn't have touched those things because they all stay under the surface. And this is the amazing thing about a relationship. There are things in you that may never surface in your whole life if it weren't for a long-term relationship.
Well, it's kind of like a mirror, isn't it? You don't actually know what you look like until you actually look at a mirror. And when you're in a relationship, that other person reflects back who you are in many ways and you get deeper then.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So earlier on you sort of said you live deeper. And that part of this radio show that we're putting together is so that people's relationship can be deeper.
Yeah.
And that happens when you're close to somebody and you go on that adventure of being close and even trying to get closer. And that involves hurt, all right? Because we're all human, we all do things wrong, and just got to work through that so that you can keep going.
Yeah, and look, so many people, I don't know about you, but certainly when you're young, you're afraid to show who you are because, you may not be liked. If I show who I am, maybe you won't accept me. Maybe you'll see these things about me and I'll feel rejection again. Are you one of those people that are afraid of that rejection?
Yeah, and this is why the idea of commitment and a long-term relationship actually, it burrows down to life itself because none of us want to be rejected. Everybody wants to feel part of the human herd. And to do that, it means you have to show who you are. Yeah. And you need to know that there is somebody out there who's going to accept and understand that. Yeah. And it's only taken us 30 years. So.
No, I know. It's continually growing.
Continually growing. That's
growing.
Right. That's right. But it's an adventure.
It is. It is certainly an adventure, and at least you've got someone to adventure with you. I mean, again, a young friend of mine going traveling around the world, and she said to me the other day, "Gee, I'm just tired of going by myself. I just want to share it with someone and not just share it with other travelers that I'm with. I want to share it with someone that I'm close to be able to look at it through their eyes too. And I think that's part of the adventure of a long-term relationship.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So that's a good analogy that you touched upon there. If you go on a long journey, let's say you're hiking through Europe.
Yeah.
And along the way, you meet some people and they go through little bits with you, okay? It's like having multiple relationships, okay? Yeah. But there is a yearning inside us for somebody to understand what the whole journey is about. So if you find one person and go on that whole journey throughout all of Europe, hiking through Europe together, then they have been on the whole journey with you. Yeah. And the thing is that not only have they shared the outer journey and seen all these wonderful cities and forests like you have, but they've gotten to know you and you've gotten to know them and your reactions to all these beautiful forests and cities, and you get to know their reactions to all these forests and cities. And then you'll start talking about which ones you like and which ones you don't like. And then you'll sort of say, okay, why don't we do this one? Or do you like doing this? And you'll find sometimes they'll say, no, I don't like that. Okay. And so there's got to be room for that as well. But that's the analogy of a long-term relationship.
Yeah, and that actually touches on also something that some of the couples, actually a lot of the couples that I interviewed 90 couples, so 180 coupled individuals, and a lot of them said it's just that feeling of being known.
Yes.
And yes. So once you've had all these experiences that you've built up, or even if you've just gone deeper in your relationship and you've shared, the ups and downs, the really tough times together and the good times, you're known. There's this wonderful, and that goes back to security too.
Yes.
This sense of being known, and you can't. That's irreplaceable. These short-term relationships, you're not going to have that sense of being known. And there's a comfort in that too.
Yes.
A feeling of home again. A feeling I can really totally be myself with this person, or I'm growing to be more of myself with that person.
Yeah. Okay, so we started talking about some short-term relationships, which happen to all of us along the way to finding a long-term relationship. So I want to look at the difference between that pre-commitment phase, right, and what happens before you go, okay, I'm going to commit, this is the person, and then what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Sounds great.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So off you go.
Off I go.
Okay, yeah. The pre-commitment stage, yes. Go on, Mr. Psychiatrist.
Mr. Psychiatrist. Right, so there's this awful saying, okay, that all is fair in love and war.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But unfortunately, there's truth.
Yeah, there is truth. There is truth.
Because in a war, the idea is to beat the enemy.
Yeah.
And in love before commitment, the idea is to, in a way, beat the enemy to get the best deal that you can get, right? So I want to introduce this idea of games. And so game theory is actually very important in all of philosophy, economics, and even in biology and mathematics. And it gets really, really complex. But I don't want to talk about all of that.
No.
What I want to talk about is an easy concept like the idea of competitive games and non-competitive games. So competitive games is tennis, chess, hockey, soccer, all the win-lose games that we have, all right? And all of our money system is, in a sense, win-lose, okay? If I can charge more for something and get you to pay more for something, that means that I win and you lose a bit of money, right?
Yeah.
Whereas non-competitive games are games that we're still playing, but there's no winners and losers. So if you're building a city out of Lego, if you're building sand castles, if you're building a house of cards, the idea is to cooperate with the person around you so that you're both enjoying yourselves. But if that house of cards comes down, then the game's over for both of you. And the fun is while you're playing. So the idea while you're on the beach, making sand castles with your kids, is just to keep the game going. Nobody wins at building sandcastles.
And you're working towards something together, to create something together, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, and so in non-competitive games, or in what we call cooperative games, there's the idea of creativity, expression, togetherness, and a sense of enjoyment just by being together. So applying this to relationships, before you're in a long-term relationship, you're actually playing competitive games.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you said that quickly. Okay. Where did that come from?
Oh, wow.
What
I mean,
games
everyone
are you
likes everyone likes a good competition, don't they? I certainly do.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
I'm not going in. I'm not going there. You're pulling me along. No.
Okay, but right there, you can see how, what should I say? There's a bit of excitement there. Right?
Yeah.
But it's also mixed with the potential for hurt.
Oh,
right?
yes, yeah.
So in other words, when you play off one person against the other, or you don't want to lose any options here, or when you're going out with a few people and you're comparing them, and you're sort of saying, okay, what's the best partner for me? How can I get the best deal? How do I get the best girl, the best guy, all of that, that's all competitive games because somebody's going to win, and if you win, that person that you want, that means that somebody else loses.
Yeah, that's so hard.
So it's a competitive game before commitment.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole dating thing too, isn't it?
That's a whole dating
sort of
thing.
like, and there's a fun in that too, and there's got to be a healthy part to that too.
Yes, of course there is. Of course there is, because you are actually looking for the best mate for yourself. You are actually playing that game to win.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so in a way, there's a whole science of evolutionary psychology as to how these things happen, but it is a competitive game, and there are hierarchies, there are winners and losers.
Yeah.
But when you commit to a long-term relationship, what changes is that you're actually playing a different game.
Ooh.
So you actually move from going to you move from a competitive game, you commit, And then you're in a different game, and it's a cooperative game or a non-competitive game. So you're going from the game that says, how can I find the best person for me? Or how can I have the most fun before I commit to somebody? You're going from that to, how can we have the best relationship? How can we keep this going? How can I express myself the most? How can I be the most vulnerable? How can I be there for somebody else the most? How can we create a secure, loving framework if we're going to have children? And that's a very different game.
Yeah, of course it is. So we're really going from me to we.
Yes, that's good.
That's going to cause tension, and that's going to cause arguments, and it's going to be like, there's going to be a wrangling because, you I don't know about you, but you want to hold on to that part of you. This is me. This is who I've developed over, 25 years. This is the me that and it's going to rub against the other person, isn't it?
Okay. So let's talk about that. I'm going to use sandcastles, building sandcastles on the shore as an analogy. If you've been building a sandcastle for long enough, the tide changes, and occasionally a wave comes in and washes part of your sandcastle away.
Yes, it's true. Ooh.
And you go, oh.
Sadness.
And you've got to start building again.
You do.
All right, if you want that sandcastle, you've got to start building. You may have to move it. You may want to mix some dry sand with it, however you do it. But that's a bit like some of the challenges that come to a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
The question is, are you going to keep building the sandcastle? Are you going to keep going in the relationship? Yeah. Or are you going to give up?
Well, this is the thing. And this is, again, what a lot of the couples told me.
Yeah.
And these are couples that had affairs. These are couples that, went through incredibly difficult times with mental illnesses or physical illnesses or, just going bankrupt, all sorts of financial difficulties and everything. A lot of these people said to me, it's easy to walk away.
Yeah.
They actually said that. So when that sandcastle, especially financially, when that sandcastle disintegrates or part of it goes, well, it's easy to walk away. Do we stop? Do we keep building again?
Yeah. Now I've got to say something that is actually really important, because this is a theme about relationships. You see, sometimes people look at a relationship and say, what went wrong? And sometimes it's not one person or the other, but it's a society that we live in.
Oh, so totally, absolutely, yes.
Right, okay. So Caroline's right on board with that. So let me just delve into that a bit deeper. Because we live in a society with a lot of social media, a lot of entertainment, and a lot of consumerism, we're actually encouraged to go back to the competitive game, to look at our relationship and go, you know what, that person's not quite the best for me. Mm-hmm. You know what, I could do a bit better. And so you're encouraged to go back and play that competitive game rather than playing the cooperative game of making a good relationship. Mm-hmm. There are several reasons for that. Let's start off with entertainment first. Movies, books, and songs. They're all about that time of finding somebody, of that, oh yes, I'm finally in love, or oh no, this hurt, or this is what happened.
And the flutterbuys. It's all the really good stuff, isn't it?
It's the good stuff, and it's those heady, dramatic emotions that we all go through.
Yeah.
It is less often that you'll see a movie about a relationship that's been together 40 years and they're having a great time. There's less about that. There's just less to make a movie about because there's not as much drama and conflict.
Well, movies are about drama, yeah.
Movies are about drama. You've got to have that conflict.
Yeah.
So for our entertainment, we tend to evoke those emotions that look for that time in relationships. The other thing is, when you're mating and dating, you're taking people out, you're wanting to look your best, and so you buy the clothes, you make sure the car looks good, you're going out to restaurants, you're spending your money, right? A content couple actually spend less money, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to go out to restaurants. They don't have to have the car looking good because all of a sudden there are other things in life that become more important. A mortgage, perhaps, or something that people are doing together becomes more important than all the glitz and glamour of mating and dating. So there are forces in our society that say, nah, if we can keep you discontent, if we can keep you thinking that your relationship is not good enough, if we can bring you back into the competitive game, then you'll part with your money more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is to do with money. It's the whole the romance commerce that's going on. You know, it's this is what you buy, this is what you do, this means love, this means they care about you. But look, honestly, the couples that I talked to, I had about 12 women say, I hate flowers. They just die. Don't get me flowers. Give me a massage, or, you know, let's take a walk along the beach, or let's watch a sunset together. They're the things that are more romantic for me.
Yes, and the whole pressure to be romantic, right?
Ridiculous
because the
amount
whole
of pressure.
That's right. Men in particular are under, actually women too, they are under pressure.
Just as much pressure.
That's right, to be romantic. And the idea of romance is actually got to do with a competitive game.
Yeah.
Okay, because when you've been together for a long time, it's not that the romance dies, because it doesn't, but it takes on a different meaning, like making somebody a cup of tea. That's or right. Being thoughtful.
Yeah, just writing a little note. A lot of the couples just left a note for each other. Just being there for each other, just listening. A lot of them said that was romance to them, because the person was just completely listening to what they had to say, and all these other things that evolved that romance was. But I just want to talk about that whole pressure of the dating too, and the actual idea that you've actually got to create this romance world.
Yes.
Particularly with the proposal, which seems such a huge thing today. You've got to get the right space, and you've got to get the right ring, and she's got to be wearing the right dress, and he's got to have this, and you've got to have a photographer hiding behind a tree to take that. It's got to be documented. The pressure and the pressure and the pressure for that. And also these become these events, and we think, life is just going to be like this all the time when we're married. And when it doesn't end up being like that. That's also a letdown too. Yeah,
and putting so much pressure on being romantic and so much pressure on, let's say, a proposal.
Yeah.
What that feeds into is people's fear of failure.
It's true. Yeah, that's right. And so many people.
And so it becomes a huge hurdle to get over. Whereas I've got to say, some of the most romantic proposals I've heard are ones that just happen spontaneously, without a setup, okay, and nothing really memorable, except that this person just told me they want to spend the rest of their lives with me.
Yeah.
And that's actually enough for the new game. The new game, which has got to be, how can we put together the best relationship that we can? How can we bring out the best in each other? How can we be more vulnerable towards each other? Yeah. And how can we together create a place of relational safety and security?
Ooh, relational safety.
Yeah.
That's something nice. I like that idea. Relational safety. And that is that feeling of comfort, of security, of home, and all of that.
Yeah, and you actually don't get much of that feeling in the mating and dating game.
No, you don't. And honestly, I really believe this out there, that there are people there that really want that sense of security, that really crave it. You may not even know that you crave it underneath, because the media is definitely telling you otherwise, that you want the bright lights and the excitement and all the things that go with all of that really on the edge lifestyle. But underneath, somewhere underneath, there is that real craving for being known, for security, for safety, for relational safety, for those arms that hold both of you together.
Yes, and all of this came out of the idea that there are forces in society that's dragging us away from the cooperative game of a relationship back to the mating and dating game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the science there.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because I mentioned attachment, and the ultimate attachment relationship is between a mother and her child. And the idea is that the child could not exist without the mother. It needs that relationship. Mm. And what the science is showing is that as adults, we still need an attachment relationship. We still need to feel that we can be vulnerable and known in the eyes of one significant other person. Mm. And this is actually borne out in that when people divorce or break up, it's actually life-threatening.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is. So people do become suicidal when a relationship breaks up.
Have you seen that in your practice?
The number of times I've seen that in my practice it's phenomenal, because there is that feeling that, okay, so I've built up that security and now it's being taken away from me. It's like the rug being taken away from under me. It's the idea that, oh my gosh, I'm alone again. And that actually becomes an existential crisis. You don't quite feel as alive when you're alone. And so, particularly for men, the statistics are that divorced men are 6 more times likely to complete suicide than men in a relationship. Wow. And we've talked before about some of the advantages of a relationship, and these are all scientifically based. That a relationship improves your physical health, your emotional well-being. It stops you from being lonely. It actually adds to your happiness. And there's so many stats about this. And you actually live longer when you're in a relationship. And it's because of this feeling of attachment, that somewhere inside you, you are secure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Okay. But we're going to, there's some of you out there are going to have already divorced or be in relationships like this, and we're going, oh, this is great. You've got to stay together. Yeah. And they're going to be feeling like they've failed now, Christian.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Well, that's not what this show's about. It's about keeping, making people feel that, telling them the good things about commitment. But can they start again? Can they get recommitted?
Most definitely. Now, some of the best relationships that I have seen are people who have divorced, who have seen how painful that is, and admitted how painful that is, and then they find somebody else, and they go, you know what, this time I'm going to do what I can to keep it together. And so there is often more nurturing of the relationship, less harming of the relationship, and people take care of each other better, because this is the amazing thing about the human brain. We all have the capacity to learn and to grow. And so we're not here to say it's all over after you've divorced.
No.
Wherever you are, whatever stage in life you're at, it's time to look and say, okay, what do I need to do next time?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get that relational safety? And I suppose the reason that we're talking about commitment is because it is so attached to relational safety. And you've got to know that first, okay? Because there's the idea that relationships break up because I'm going to be better without somebody. And particularly when I do couples therapy, what I've found with people who break up, it's not because they stop loving each other. It's because the hurt and the problems mount up and they go, you know what? I can't see a way out of this.
Yeah.
And so, in a sense, two people who are still in love break up because the hurt becomes too much.
Yeah. So that's part of what it is.
About being after commitment.
Yeah.
So the thing is that, and you saw with the people that you interviewed, it's not that bad things don't happen, because they do.
Yeah, they most definitely do. Actually, I'd like to share some of the things about some of the people, because particularly this one couple, Carol and Stephen, they had been through some tough stuff. So they had both had childhood sexual abuse. Okay. They worked through infertility issues. They ended up adopting some children. Workplace PTSD. They went into financial ruin at one point.
Yeah.
And Carol actually said, we've been through hell and back again. Many times I had to go back to our vows, and through thick and thin, you keep them. It would have been easy to walk away. So, I mean, these are kind of stories. Yeah, that's right. I saw it. Or then there was Wayne and Francis. Now, there was a mental health issue here. So this is so interesting. Francis said, it's been harder for Wayne because I suffer mental illness in depression. So she had clinical depression all their marriage. And she said, and it's a commitment that helped him get through, because we've had some really hard times. I remember saying to him, if I walk out on you, don't let me go. And they've been married for 42 years.
Okay, so she actually said, if I walk out on you,
don't let me go. So she said, don't let me go.
okay,
Yeah.
but it means that she made the decision occasionally to walk out on him.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. And he'd drive the streets looking for her.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, that is commitment on his part.
It's commitment
Wow.
on his part, but see, the interesting thing is that she knew herself.
Yeah.
All right, and she knew that there were times that she would walk away.
Yeah.
And so, in a moment of rationality and safety, she says to him, "If I do that,
Yeah.
don't let me go. Don't listen to me."
Yeah.
All right. So she gave him permission to reach further.
Yeah.
To say no, don't let that happen.
Yeah.
Which means that, in a sense, she didn't really want it.
No, exactly. And then there was another couple, Pearl and Matthew, who he had a lot of mental health issues, and I actually said at one point, have you ever considered divorce? Because it's always a question that I ask them, and he said yes, because I thought that she'd be better without me.
That she would be better without him.
Yeah.
That's why he wanted to leave her.
Yeah. So
well, that's beautiful and sad at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
Yeah.
But it shows the love that develops when people are committed.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's right.
They reach a space after 20, 30, 40 years that, well, it's deep. It's living deeper.
It really is. And then, of course, there were affairs, and having to work through that together was really, really tough. And the commitment, even to working, it became for these people not a commitment so much to each other, but a commitment to the relationship. The relationship had to become like that was where the we-ness was.
Yeah.
It's not a commitment to you; it is a commitment to the relationship itself.
Yeah.
And that was just phenomenal to see that. And of course, there's forgiveness. There's incredible amount of hurt. One couple, just 3 months ago, the affair had happened, and the wife was just crying right throughout the interview. But they wanted to share their struggles because they were determined, absolutely determined and single-minded to make it work, because they didn't want the loneliness that it would bring.
Okay. All right, I'm sure we'll have an episode on affairs and things like that.
We will, but I'm just talking about the tough times and them getting through and going back to commitment.
And going back to commitment every time. Yeah. Okay. So talking about affairs and tough times, it gives the idea that a relationship is not for the faint-hearted.
No, it isn't. Actually, this couple, Carol and Stephen, they said, hell and back again. They said it's damn hard work. Damn hard work. They said it so many times in the interview. But, her mother said, look, your bed is always waiting, and she would always tempt her to come back home, again, in-law pressures. But, she said, no, I'm going to make this relationship work.
Okay, so let me bring that back to the idea of a commitment and a relationship being like a mission.
Yeah, okay.
You're on a mission, and let's say your mission is to climb a mountain, and you're determined to see your mission through. But as you're going, it starts pouring rain, and you're going through this soggy quagmire that's getting slipperier and slipperier, and you're on this mission to climb a mountain. And do you have the thought, you know what, I might just give up here. Let's just turn around and say no to this mission. Of course you have that thought.
Of course you do, yeah.
Right. But depending on the nature of your mission, you might go, no, I've got to dig a little deeper here, and I've got to keep climbing. I've got to keep going. Because, see, here's the thing. Whenever you get to the top of your mountain, or when you complete your mission, there's some sort of a reward. There's something that you're reaching for. It might be a beautiful view at the top of the mountain. It may be just to say, I climbed this mountain.
Yeah.
In a relationship, it's we belong together.
Yeah.
It's we've created a place of relational safety. Now, every relationship has its limits.
Yeah.
Which is why when people divorce, it's not like they've done something wrong. It didn't work out. What we were talking about is what's the difference between pre-commitment and after commitment. And we talked about the idea of moving from one game to another game.
Yeah.
From a competitive game to a cooperative game. For that to happen, there has to be a slow change of your own identity. So, in other words, before the long-term commitment, you were an autonomous, independent person. Yeah. After the commitment, you're working to become part of a relationship, part of something that's bigger than you, part of something that includes you and somebody else, part of a relationship. And this is a growing thing. It's not sort of like, after one day, all of a sudden, that's it, right? But your identity becomes, I am together with this person journeying through life. And when you do that, and as you grow closer to this person and become more vulnerable in their presence, you get to discover more about yourself. You get to learn more about yourself. You get to become more yourself, as long as the relationship is safe and secure.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where the commitment comes in. It can only be safe and secure when I'm in it for the long haul. We're both going to be here together. If there's even one person sort of saying, yeah, I might just look around and see what else there is, okay, that's going to create vulnerabilities in the relationship so that you can't argue. There's certain things you can't say. And sometimes things have got to be said, right? Yeah. But you can only say them if it's safe enough to say them.
That's so true. Well, actually, Eli Finkel, who we, have quoted in our book,
yes,
who wrote The All or Nothing Marriage,
yes,
he actually talks about commitment being, commitment makes your eyes not stray. And I like that idea, because then you're actually looking at the other person. You're not looking elsewhere. You're not looking, can I get a better deal somewhere elsewhere? You've decided to play this game.
Yes.
And your eyes are on that other person.
Okay, so that's a really good analogy that Eli Finkel uses there, that commitment makes your eyes not stray.
Yeah.
My experience as a male is that there's something about testosterone that makes your eyes stray.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Okay? Because I keep on thinking, why on earth are the young men even thinking about commitment? Because they're getting all the sex they want anyway. Okay, and what is the point of that?
Yeah, now that's a huge topic, and we will do an episode on that.
Yeah.
Right, but it does tap into this idea of being commitment phobic, right? And there's some science around here as well. The science says that we are naturally commitment phobic until we perceive that our options run out. All right. So in other words, we tend to commit when we go, you know what, this is the best that I will do. Okay. And I know that sounds a bit defeatist, and I know it sounds a bit down, but there's a bit of truth in it, because in a world of social media and the idea of there are just plenty of fish out there. There's just plenty of fish out there. You're always going to find somebody else.
Something better.
Something better. And what happens is that you then forsake the commitment for this dream of something better. And I see it so often in my practice, particularly for women and for men in their late 30s.
Okay.
Because if they haven't found a long-term relationship in their late 30s, then it's sort of like not only the biological clock is ticking, but what's wrong with me? Okay.
Oh.
And that's a
hard.
horrible feeling. Okay.
So hard.
That
you might be
so
feeling
hard.
that yourself. That's that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking, and it happens to guys as well as girls.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. It's not just that the women have their biological clock.
Yeah.
It's also that the men want to know that they are the sort of person that somebody wants.
Yeah.
And so in a world of social media, we're fooled into thinking that we have unlimited choices, that there are so many fish in the sea, when the reality is that all the fish are aging in the same sea. Because every fish thinks that there's some other fish there, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that's a terrible analogy.
That's all.
That's awful. I know, but
old fish.
No, but the thing
Smelly old fish.
But,
it's awful.
but the thing is that we get fooled into thinking that we have unlimited choices.
Yeah, I know.
And the thing is that you get to become a happy fish when you find your partner and you say, okay, we're going to go out of this pool and we're going to go into a different pool. So we start playing a different game.
We're going to swim, and we're going to swim together.
And we're going to swim together. That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah. Very much together. And then you do become more of yourself, and but then you also form that together identity that we were talking about.
And that's the hard thing to understand, and it's a hard thing in our society, which is why the first chapter of the book that we have is on what we call hyper-individualism. This idea that it's me first and how I shape my life is all important because we look at the disadvantage of relationships. And the disadvantage is, yes, you give up freedom. Yes, you're going to start making demands on each other. Just like if you drive a car on the road, we all demand that people stay on their side of the road. And we take this demand for granted because if it doesn't happen, it's just chaos on the roads. So we as human beings make demands on each other all the time. Here's the thing. In a relationship, you actually want somebody to make demands on you because it means that they love you.
They love you.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Demands are love. And you're going to make demands on somebody else. So one point in an early relationship is when people go for sexual exclusivity.
Yeah.
To say that it's just you and me.
Yeah.
Well, that's a demand and it limits your freedom. But everybody wants it because they're all moving towards this other game.
Yeah.
But you have to get to that other game.
Yeah.
The game of where I can create a framework of relationship safety so that I can explore more of myself, you can explore more of yourself, and we can grow to understand and accept each other more and journey through life, whatever it is that life is going to bring.
Yeah, and then there's that idea of two, not just one, and that's bigger, isn't it? That there's a strength in that. Okay, so it's quite delightful.
Yeah, it is, because there's the idea that people become a rock for somebody else.
Oh yeah, so many of the couples said that.
Yeah, so many. Yeah.
He's my rock. She's my precious gem. They use this rock analogy.
They do.
Really
they
delightful.
do, because a rock is solid.
It is,
right?
and we actually tell couples, keep a rock in your pocket. Hold on to that rock, because every time you're feeling, life's difficult, you've got that rock. You know that is your security. That is your home.
Yes, and if you're climbing a mountain and a storm brews, you need to find a rock to shelter under or to hang on to sometimes because you need that security. And a relationship becomes that rock because it's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there the next day. And that only comes with commitment. Yeah. Because if you go into a relationship thinking that it might end in a week or two, then there are certain things that can't be said. You're not going to share yourself. You're not actually going to be yourself. So with the commitment comes that safety, which means you can move forward to become more of yourself and more of yourself together with somebody else who's becoming more of themselves.
That's a great way to finish, I think.
You want to leave it there?
Okay.
All right,
I think we'll leave it there. Okay, the idea of the rock, it can be our technique for this week, that people have this rock to remind them that, they've got someone that they care about.
So a rock and commitment. A rock is always going to be there. If it's a large enough, strong enough rock, then it's going to be there. Okay, well, I think that's it for this week. I'm so glad that you joined us. And we're going to bring this radio show that we've just started to you each week. We hope that you've learned a lot about relationships, about commitment, about relational safety, about attachment, a little bit of science along the way. This is Christian and Caroline Heim signing off, and we will see you next time. Remember, your relationship is your greatest asset.
There's a lot of talk all over the internet these days about the remarkable benefits of carbon-60, and baby boomers are especially excited about it. Whatever generation you're in, if you want more energy, better health, and a boost in vitality, we invite you to try Greska's Carbon-60, a stunning development in free radical destruction. Being much smaller in size than conventional antioxidants derived from fruits and vegetables, it is far more bioavailable to quickly mend the toxin-crippled cells in your body. Greska's Carbon-60 is the only C60 product that is made without the use of undesirable solvents. The only one. Greska's Carbon-60 was developed by a brilliant NASA carbon scientist, and 95% report positive results from this Nobel Prize-winning technology in just 4 days. Visit c-60.com. That's c-60.com or call 720-600-6040.